recording. Okay, now let me change this view so that you see us. Let's do video chat. There we go. Well, then I've got the moderation window. You know what? That's going to block the camera in the recording. Okay, let me change this view back. Okay, you know what, guys? I'm going to turn off the moderation. I'm going to turn off the chat because it covers up the recording video. So here's what we're going to do, guys. Please have Facebook open, specifically the Wholesale River group, okay, in Facebook. We're going to be posting some links over there, and we're going to be sharing some files and things like that. So please have Facebook open and make sure that you join the Wholesale River group if you're not already part of it. If you're not, go ahead and request it, and I will let you in immediately. And the first thread that we have, which has the webinar, all questions, all the links will be posted there. Okay. So first of all, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. We definitely appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time with us Friday morning or Friday evening, depending on where you are in the world. This is, I don't say this lightly. This is one of those webinars that you can potentially look back and say, this was the pivotal point that changed my entrepreneur journey. We've really put a lot of thought into this. Scott, who I'm going to introduce shortly, is just a phenomenal guy. And Scott and I have probably been speaking over a year on various topics back and forth. And I look up to Scott. Scott has a similar background to me. He's a professional like a lot of us. And he left that world and he had that spark. And he's like, man, I got to do my own thing. I can't work for somebody else. And he's had an extraordinary journey. And we're going to talk about that. And then specifically, we're going to talk about what's in it for you. We're going to talk about how you can be like Scott. Be like Scott. So, he took the steps and he's going to show you exactly how you can be like Scott. And everybody can do it. I've done it. Scott's done it. We have lots of friends who are making phenomenal money. So with that, let me introduce Scott Myers. Scott, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background? How did you come to Amazon and specifically shoes and wholesaling? And where did you kind of start and where are you now?
Sure, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. Like you said, we've been talking a long time about collaborating on some projects, so I'm really excited to be here and meet the group and talk with the group about my journey and what you and I can do to help them achieve the success that you and I have seen, which I think is great. So my background was corporate America. 25 years as a food and beverage director for some major hotel chains such as Marriott and Starwood and Hilton. Left the corporate world. I loved the corporate world. I loved my job. Very exciting. But I left the corporate world because I was working 70 hours a week for 25 years, and I have small children now, and I wanted to spend more time with them. Growing up, my mother was a stay-at-home mom, and I think that really did a lot in developing me the person that I am today. So I didn't want to leave a job completely and stay at home because I probably would go nuts. So I had to do something. So I started checking out avenues of being an entrepreneur. I actually put together a 30-page business plan to open my own restaurants. I was looking for venture capital. Obviously, anybody who's trying to do that knows it's a really difficult process, and very few people actually are able to get the money they need, especially amounts that you need in order to be successful with a business. So I happened upon the idea of Amazon. I didn't even realize at the time that you could sell on Amazon. I just thought Amazon sold it, and that did.
Right.
And I looked into it, and I did my research for 3 months. I didn't even open an account. All I did was research. And then 14 months ago, so I've only been doing this for 14 months now. 14 months ago, I opened up my account. And then 3 months after that, I left my corporate job, and I started investing and started the process. And I, like you, individuals in the group here, I looked for other like-minded people. And I happened upon a Facebook group, and I got involved, and I was just looking for other people to be able to bounce ideas off of and to share leads, and kind of a mastermind situation where we were all in the same boat looking for the same thing. And I wanted to help people just as much as everybody wanted to help me, and I found myself in a situation to be able to help a lot of people with respect to their experience in wholesale, which is something I started on very quickly after RA. I started in RA, which I recommend everybody do. It's a great way to learn how to analyze products and do all those kind of things. But then I got into liquidation and wholesale very quickly, and I found myself in front of large amounts of that I started to share with my Facebook group, and that kind of led me into where I am now, where I'm talking about from the perspective that I get, and I personally sell on my account that I've been successful with, and things that I'm going to help people with their accounts and coaching for the Facebook group that I'm involved in, and I'm looking to be involved with you guys as well.
You mentioned you've been in the game 14 months, right?
14 months.
So, and you know this, but maybe some people don't. But 14 months, guys, to get into a brand new industry and make it is not a small accomplishment. All right. Scott, when you were talking about restaurants and things like that, people go and invest like you know, and I'm sure some of you out there also know, people go in and invest $500,000, $1 million, $2 million easily. And they wait for ROI, and they count ROI not in weeks or months, they count them in years. So just think about that. I have a friend who's actually opening up a hair place, a hair cutting place, a barber place. And he's not counting on returns for at least a year. And that's aggressive. So this whole Amazon online e-commerce world, and I know that we are a society that gets very, very impatient, and we put in an order and we put down, $1,000, and then we want to see like returns like in a week. The reality of it is, this is one of the fastest turnaround times in terms of ROI, the least amount of risk. I mean, how many restaurants do you know that shut down in your neighborhood, right? They open and they shut down. That's after spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the fact that, Scott, you were able to come in and then within 14 months have a success story, I think is phenomenal. And it presents an example of what all of you guys who are watching this, what you can do. Because Scott is just like me, just like you. We're all professional guys, corporate guys, ex-corporate guys, and we took the leap and now we're doing this. Scott, let's talk a little bit about your numbers. So where are you at now?
So I just broke last month $1 million of revenue.
Woohoo!
That's not all from Amazon. I sell on liquidation.com. I sell on eBay. I have a prepping service that I'm doing as well, and then I also do my wholesale side of the business, which is product offerings to other individuals. So as a whole business, in 14 months, I just got up over $1 million. Now my goals for last year, when I came into this, and I just assumed that I was going to be doing Amazon and none of this other stuff. But my goals for last year, and just another thing I think not even important to mention that you kind of touched on is I had no prior experience in this industry whatsoever. I was in the restaurant industry. I was in food and beverage since I was 18 years old in high school, and I have no e-commerce experience or anything like that. So, and I was looking at a restaurant loan for $600,000, and I was looking at an ROI of 7 years.
Oh yeah, yep.
I was going to pay myself a salary, but that's pretty typical in the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
So sorry, I just started.
No worries.
Or my first year, my goal was to do $500,000, and that was from March until March is when I really started to do it full time. So
Right.
March to
Right.
December, my goal was 500. I got 600,000. My goal for this year is to do $1 million, and I'm on track right now to do 1.2 million. So in the first 4 months, I've done an additional 400,000. So I'm averaging between $90,000 and $100,000 per year. So
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean that's pretty doing okay, right? Understatement. That's pretty. That's yeah.
I'm still kind of in shock. I'm still like, I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like,
Right.
am I sure I didn't just place a zero somewhere?
Yeah. Yeah, it was only 10,000. It wasn't it. So right. So guys, I just posted a screenshot from one of Scott's Amazon, one of his streams. Okay, and that's the shoes that he's doing. So, like he said, he's doing a bunch of things, and diversity is so important. You've got to do wholesale, you've got to do other things, but you can't start with everything. So you want to start with one thing and then escalate and move on to another. But I just posted Scott's Amazon business sales report, and you can see the numbers on that. Very, very impressive. That's just one of his streams. Okay. And again, if you guys have questions, post them in Facebook. I am monitoring that. And this is very informal, so I'm going to pop in and, we'll answer as many of those questions as we can while we go along. So we talked a little bit about your numbers. Now, there's a lot of people who are in this group who are new to wholesaling. Why don't we do an introduction to what is wholesaling? How is it different from RA and OA? And let's kind of do just some of the fundamentals of wholesaling, why it's better sometimes, or a lot of times, than RA and OA, and what are the opportunities here? Can you talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. There's kind of three major sourcing categories, at least in the way that I kind of describe it to individuals that are new to the industry. So you've got your retail arbitrage, where you're buying retail and reselling retail, and you can either do that online or in the storefronts. Typically, people in our industry call it OA and RA, for online arbitrage, retail arbitrage. And there's a lot of opportunity there. You are capturing sales from other stores, either online or in their storefronts, and you're reselling them on Amazon. So your profit margins and all that kind of stuff fluctuate depending on the sales that those stores are having on a regular basis. Then you have wholesale. Now, wholesale is where you are purchasing from either the manufacturer or a licensed wholesaler of that manufacturer. You're pretty much getting exactly the same pricing that everybody else is getting. So anybody that's got a wholesale contract with a company, they're offering up that pricing structure pretty much to everybody, unless you're buying in extremely large quantities where you can get a quantity price point. So that's the kind of thing that Naheem is offering to your group right now, is trying to buy in large quantities to get those price breaks from wholesalers. Now, this is brand new product that comes right off of the manufacturing assembly line, packed in the original cases, and then packed in case packs. And wholesale, the downside of wholesale is that you pretty much have the exact same pricing structure as everybody else. So you go onto Amazon and you start to buy box, you're all kind of stuck at a certain price. You really can't go lower than a certain price without losing money. You're all buying the exact same price from the wholesale. Then you have liquidation, and liquidation is what they call reverse logistics, meaning that these are items that were purchased from a wholesaler, put into a retail environment, and then for whatever reason didn't sell. And that could be a whole bunch of reasons. It doesn't always mean that there's a negative aspect to why it didn't sell. Sometimes it was an over-purchase by the corporate merchandiser, and they just didn't anticipate, or they anticipated it selling more than it actually did. Or maybe they just messed up and ordered too much. Or maybe the manufacturer is liquidating some stuff because they made too many and it didn't get purchased by the retail storefronts. So there's still a demand for these products. And these are typically sold at a very, very deep discount. They're usually selling them less than what the manufacturer or the retailer purchased them for. You're usually seeing anywhere from 70 to 90% of MSRP as a discount. So you're buying them anywhere from 10 to 20% of the original manufacturer suggested retail price. Whereas in wholesale, you typically see gross profit margins on products of about 25 to 35%. So you're getting those products. So if you're purchasing a product from a wholesaler and the MSRP is $100, and they're expecting you to put it in your storefront or online for $100, then they're probably selling it to you for around $75. So you can see these huge discounts come into play in liquidation, and you can also see that in wholesale you've got deeper discounts for larger quantities. So those are kind of your pros and cons for those two arenas. And then your retail arbitrage is just kind of hit or miss. And the nice thing about wholesale is it's replenishable. As long as the manufacturer is making that product, you are still able to get it, replenish it in your Amazon account. And I can't tell you how much time and effort that takes off of your plate. You can just say, I just need another 100 of those or another 10 of those, instead of having to go out in the retail arbitrage environment and now finding 100 products that you can put on sale.
You're also getting a lot less competition in many cases, isn't that correct? So, because not everybody's going out to Target to go buy those shoes. You've got somewhat of an exclusive. It's never really exclusive, but you might be one of maybe just two people on that amazing deal, right?
Yeah, I think store arbitrage I think has the advantage because a lot of these major retail boxes like Walmart and whatnot do regional sales. So you might have a whole department that's being discounted, but it's only in your part of the country. And I'm part of a chat group that we're spread out across the country, and every time something goes on sale, we post it up and say, hey, check your local area. And a lot of times it's not in our local area, which means that you now have access to this deal where a lot of other people across the country and the world. Retail arbitrage online, a little different. You kind of, anybody in the world that can hit a .com in the United States has access to purchasing products at that price. So you see a little bit more listing saturation on online retail arbitrage. Liquidation is really nice from that standpoint because once you buy up the quantities of whatever's being sold, it's not being offered anywhere else. If you buy those 1,000 pairs of shoes from that liquidator or that retail store that's looking to get rid of them, then most likely they're not going to be cropping up anywhere else. And those are most likely styles that are no longer being manufactured. These are coming out of circulation. The thing about retail storefronts with liquidation is their commodity is their shelf space. So they don't want to keep products that are on the shelf, seasonal or hero. They want to be manufactured. They want all the new stuff. They want the stuff that people are coming. They saw the Nike advertisement for yesterday. They're coming into their store to look for it. As soon as the buzz is gone from that shoe, then they want to move it offline and get it out of their stores. So that's when they go into the reverse logistics. And then with wholesale, wholesale can be tough because you have that very fixed pricing structure, and anybody that can get access to that wholesaler can get those products and get those prices. But again, purchasing from a wholesaler, purchasing in quantity is so very important. You want to always buy the highest number that gives you the biggest price break so that you have the best pricing structure for yourself to be able.
Sounds good. Hey, if you guys are having trouble hearing us, just let me know in Facebook. Sharik says that the voice is breaking out a little bit. I want to make sure the rest of you can hear us. And again, this is recording as well, so I think the recording will be pretty good. So, Scott, tell me a little bit about some of your success stories, some of the customers that you're already selling to. What kind of purchasing are they doing? What kind of profit are they making? Give us kind of a scenario of somebody who wants to get started, what their expectation should be.
Sure, and I tell, just like you said earlier, I tell everybody to diversify. I think everybody should start with RA just because it's the low-hanging fruit, it's the easiest. You go out and you shop and you use your app and you're looking at rank and you're figuring out what profit margins are. Those are all very important aspects of the learning process for laying the foundation of what you're going to do. Because when I look at a liquidation lot, a mixed liquidation lot that may have 1,000 units in it, I'm analyzing that product exactly the same way that you do in the store.
Right.
Looking at the rank, looking at the overall pricing structure. I'm analyzing that lot as a single unit because some of that lot is going to be slower moving, and something that's going to be faster moving, something that's going to have to go in the trash. You're doing liquidation. And I do the same thing with wholesale. I'm looking at it and I'm analyzing it exactly like you would for a retail arbitrage deal, because those numbers don't change. You want a certain profit margin, you want a certain rank, you want a certain sales velocity. So all of that stuff holds true all the way across the board what you're doing. But once you have mastered retail arbitrage, I highly recommend moving into other areas so that you have access to more product and that you have the ability to be able to, can't find a retail arbitrage deal, you want to keep going, you want to keep investing in your inventory, in your sales, and growing your business, that you have those other channels that you can go to be able to draw product from. So I personally, I'm doing about 40% retail arbitrage. I'm doing another 40 or 50% liquidation, and I'm doing 20 or 50% wholesale, just so that I have all of those channels up and going, and I have access to all that product. So I highly recommend moving into another category if you haven't already, and also expanding your portfolio with respect to product offerings and have access to opening up those channels. So I did a lot of coaching, one-on-one coaching in the other group. For 6 months, I had about 20 individuals that I was doing some one-on-one coaching. And I would say out of those 20 people, I would say 10 or 15 of them are just killing it right now. And they're not necessarily killing it because of my coaching, but they're killing it because they took action, they made smart decisions, and I helped them through that process. But some of the success stories that I'd like to share with those individuals, and a couple of those individuals are selling more than me now. They'll post up the numbers, and I'm like, okay, so now you need to teach me what you're doing.
All right. So walk us through some of those numbers at a high level. Some of the sellers, how much are they buying from you every week or month or whatever cycle? Roughly, how much profit are they making? You mentioned their numbers are pretty significant. Walk us through that, and then we have a question from Khan. He's asking, is this all new stuff or returns or what?
So I've got a couple individuals in the group that are probably doing $5,000 to $10,000 a month with me in the liquidation lot offerings that I put together for them. But I don't recommend that this be your only source of product. I highly recommend that you respond to product. So I wouldn't say take all the money you've got and put it into the stuff that I'm offering, because you should be in different categories and you should be in different arenas with respect to your sourcing methods and methodology. So some of these, I have one individual, he loves shoes, and he's predominantly in shoes. And he buys a lot of them from me, but he also likes to go to the storefronts, and he goes to like outlet malls and things like that. But when he can't source enough from those areas, he'll usually buy a lot of shoe lots from me. He's usually up there around the $10,000 a month mark. I started coaching him about 6 months ago, and he was doing $10,000 a month in shoes. And he said
that sales. Sorry, Scott. Yeah.
$10,000 a month in sales.
Okay.
And most of it being in shoes.
Right.
And what he would do is he'd go to the storefront, he'd buy his shoes, he'd load them in, and then he'd never look at them again. He's not repricing them, he's not doing anything. He goes, I want to get to $30,000 in sales. So I look at his inventory, and he's got like $80,000 in inventory, but his turnover rate is about 12%. So
wow.
he's turning over every month about 12% of your shoes.
Right.
What I want you to do is I want you to go in and I want you to reprice like 80% of your shoes. Because all he had to do was reprice a lot of these by pennies.
Yeah.
Within 2 months, he was up to $30,000 in sales.
Wow.
And he's just started buying loads and loads of shoes from me because he couldn't keep up with the demand that he had.
Yeah.
He's gotten himself up to, I think he's up now over 50% turnover on his products. And the last I heard, he was doing $50,000 a month.
Okay. So let's crunch that math a little bit. So if he's doing about $50,000 a month, and his turnover is about 50%, So basically, he's selling about 25,000 per month, roughly. Okay, so on the 25,000, he's doing what, like 30%?
He's doing, on his shoes, he says he does 34% profit margin.
Okay.
That's gross profit margin. That doesn't count,
Right.
and or his boxes to ship into Amazon or anything like that. But when he takes out his Amazon fees, he takes out his cost of goods sold.
Right.
It's usually left with 4% of his profit margin.
Okay, so
And that's in his
shoe category. So, okay, so if I do 34%, gross profit, he still has some expenses to take out. So he's basically putting $8,500 in his pocket every month.
In his shoe category.
In his shoe category, plus, his other businesses and whatever. So, yeah. So about almost $10,000 in profit per month. That's pretty phenomenal. Obviously, you're not doing that on day one, but with the techniques and with the things that you've taught him, repricing, I'm assuming he's probably using a repricing tool now.
He is now, yeah.
Yeah.
His inventory now is over 5,000.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't track.
That's the thing with shoes is you have, even if you're just buying one brand, you still have the style and size.
Right.
All separate SKUs that you have to manage. So.
Right. And that's the nice thing is that there is automation available. There is software that you can, kind of just turn on automatically, and then you don't really need to worry about it. You should, of course, still keep an eye on it, but you can automate a lot of the stuff, and you can manage, $50,000 of inventory using software. That's the beauty about this whole thing. So, okay, so that gives us an example of somebody that started really, I guess, at zero on the shoes particular business, and then went from there to 50,000. Over what period was that?
That was in an 8-month period from 10,000 to 50,000.
That's crazy.
He definitely had experience with Amazon. He understood his back of the house reporting, and he's a very intelligent individual. And his one fatal flaw was he'd load all his product in, and he'd never look at it again. He'd never reprice it. So once he figured out that key,
right,
then he was able to continue to reinvest a lot of his profits into his inventory, and he was able to scale it really quickly.
I think that's phenomenal. And yeah.
Question from Han.
Let me see.
The condition of the.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Are they brand new or shoe return? Are they store returns? Yeah.
No, they are shelf pull overstocks. I don't do any store returns. I don't do any salvage. These are all either case packed from the manufacturer in some cases. I'd say about 20 or 30% of the inventory has never seen the retail floor. The rest of it has gone out onto the retail floor and has come back in for whatever reason. We also, when I get the liquidation lots in, we also sort through all the shoes to make sure that of the quality that you want them going on to Amazon. So we also take pictures, 3 pictures of every shoe that we put in a mini lot. We take a picture of the box with the UPC code, take a picture, and these are the actual shoes that we're shipping into people's accounts. And then we take a picture of the shoe, and then we take a picture of the sole of the shoe, so you can see that it's never been walked. So even though these are shelf-full shoes, somebody could have tried them on in the store and walked around in them enough that they're scuffed on the bottom. In that case, what I do is I separate those out and we liquidate those. I send those to liquidation.com in a different condition, in used condition, or I send them to eBay in used condition. Or I sell them to local flea market individuals here. I live in San Diego, California, so we have a 365, 24/7 flea market industry down in this part of the country. Because it never rains and it's always sunny. So we always go to the flea market.
So I do want to talk about your process, because I know your process is really, really tight. That's one of the things, guys, that I was really impressed with Scott. When he sells lots, he doesn't just throw a bunch of shoes into a lot and says, here you go, here's a mixed bag. Now, it is a mixed bag in terms of the shoes and the ranking and all that. However, every single shoe, Scott, and he's got a whole team behind him. And so we'll talk about all that. But what I'd like to do now is I'd like to go and analyze a few deals. So everybody watching, again, on Facebook, Wholesale River Group, I am posting a link right now. I just did. This is one example of the shoe deals that Scott makes available. And I haven't really announced this, but we're basically going to bring in Scott to offer wholesale deals to everybody within our group. Okay. And I can't tell you what a blessing that is. I can't tell you how huge that is, as Trump would say. It's a big deal, guys. Scott, like, he said, he's done $1 million. I've seen his numbers. So we have a $1 million seller who is going to be opening up and sharing some of his secrets and tips and tricks and all of that. We may, if we can convince him, we may even get some training out of him, maybe a couple of webinars, once every couple of weeks. I don't know how much I got to pay him or wash his car or do something for him. But, we can potentially get some training and basically be like that student, or that buyer of his who is doing $50,000 per month. All right. So now let's analyze a few example deals and what you should be looking at when a shoe deal is presented to you. So I've just listed the Aerosoles Women's Caricature Pump. So if you guys want to click on that link and go to Amazon, all right, and then let's walk through this. And again, those of you that are already doing OA and RA, some of the stuff should be very, very familiar what you need to be looking at. But Scott, why don't you go ahead and kind of walk us through this particular shoe deal and some of the numbers here.
Sure, absolutely. So I purchase shoes by the thousands. We get them into the warehouse. We sort them. We separate them. We put them into a manifest.
Hey, Scott, I'm sorry to interrupt. I got to get my power, but keep going. I will be right back with my power supply. All right.
I will do my best to carry it.
All right. Good stuff.
So we put it into a spreadsheet, and Naheem will post one of those up for you. But we wanted to show you an example of the type of shoes that we offer. It goes into the spreadsheet. It has the UPC code. It has the product description, which you can see there. It says Aerosol Women's Caricature Pump. I think that's how. I don't know. And then we put in the ASIN and the buy box value, and then we have the size and all the things that we go for our product itself. And you can see here that this shoe is ranked 3,821, which is an amazing. The pricing structure is kind of all over the place on its listing. You see each color variation, and then of course each color variation has all the different sizes associated with it. And the range for the prices is 60. The nice thing about liquidation shoes is, like I said, a lot of times you're listing the listing of the styles. You might only have one or two other people that are selling on the size that you're on. So there's so much product diversity that you can have hundreds and hundreds of these in your account at any one moment in time and still have very low competition with respect to everybody else that's there. The nice thing, even though it is a high variation listing, the nice thing about that is that the rank, there's a lot of people buying on that listing, so the rank goes down. So somebody who does a search for aerosols is going to see this listing come up at the top of your search engine because there's so much activity on this listing. So sometimes having a lot of variations on a listing can work in your favor because it gets a lot of traffic. And then other times it's not so good because you've got all these different variations on this listing and you don't really know which ones are selling the most. So you can see that it's 3,800 in sales rank, but is that predominantly the black ones or the red ones or the brown ones? So it's a little hard to tell which ones are selling, but at the same time, you're getting so many views on this listing that the traffic will improve. So I always think it's a plus when you have a lot of variations that drive traffic to the listing.
So Scott, I'm going to list a few more. Let's try to go through maybe 3 or 4 really quickly. So guys, the next one that I'm posting again in Facebook is the Bella Vita Made in Italy Women's Bologna Wedge Sandal. So if you want to click on that, bring that up on your browser, and let's look at that particular deal. If you want to break that down for us, Scott.
And these are all shoes off of actual manifests that we produced in my.
Yeah, these are real deals that Scott is offering.
Again, a multi-variation listing, a very high-end brand. You see a wide price range associated with that, from 20 to 69, and then you've got a really nice range of 11,500. But again, multi-variation, so you're not sure what's driving that rank, which styles, which colors. But because of the rank, you've got so much traffic. And what I do is when I find that I have a shoe that's not moving so well, I'll run a little ad campaign to try to drive some traffic for that particular shoe. So you can run an ad campaign for the style and the size that you have, and that'll help drive traffic to that style and size. People that will click on it will be comfortable with that style and size with respect to your ad campaign. So I always find that helps out a lot. I spend the ad campaign that I always find really reasonable from a public standpoint, and they do drive. Amazon calls it impressions. People that have actually looked at the listing. So that's something else that can help move a shoe that might be on a really nice listing, or not even on a really nice listing, but help move a product that might otherwise be more difficult.
We have a quick question from Mauricio. Where can we check how much these sell based on the rank? I don't see a section in FBA Toolkit for shoes, so Chirag has answered that Jungle Scout can help. So yeah, I think you just need to run Jungle Scout and it'll show you the history. You can go to Keepa.com. You can go to Camel, and all of these tools will show you the history of the sales, so you can see the trend. How consistent has this shoe been selling. I'm going to go ahead and list another one right now. So shoes deal example 3. And let's go ahead and click on that one. This is the ASICS running shoe. It's the ASICS Women's Gel 180 training shoe. All right, Scott, if you want to break that one down.
So the majority of the shoes that I feel are good to sell on Amazon that I tend to pour and source from my vendors are a lot of the what I call the fashion sneakers, which are like Vans, like what you would think would be like the skater kind of sneakers, the trendy, not running shoes, and then any kind of athletic shoes, running shoes, cross training shoes, all major brand stuff. I'm not brand stuff. That's really brand. These are all major brands selling in the United States.
Yeah, and just sorry to interrupt, Scott. So, guys, understand that all of these are verifiable. Okay, Scott is pretty much guaranteeing, not pretty much, he is guaranteeing source. Okay, and then on top of that, you guys know that I guarantee 100% every deal that we put out on Wholesale River. If there's ever any problem whatsoever, and we have never had any problem, Scott's never had any problem. So everything here is like he said, it's not Chinese or whatever. It may be made in China, but it's not. It's probably made in China. But yeah, these are direct from manufacturer with verifiable sources and all of that. Very, very important. Okay. Sorry, Scott.
Yes. Oh no, that's a great point. And really, all it takes is one or two people, customers from Amazon, to say, "Hey, this isn't authentic," or "Hey, this was used," and then you'll get an email from Amazon that says you need to prove to us that it isn't. And out of the tens of thousands of pairs that I've sold to other people for Amazon, I've had maybe 4 or 5 people come back and say, hey, Amazon needs some information. And I always provide that information, and nobody's ever gotten in trouble. One of the reasons that we take the pictures is if somebody complains that it's used. And I've actually sent pictures to Amazon of the soles of the shoes and of the shoes and said, this is the exact shoe that this person bought. You can obviously see that it hasn't been used, it hasn't been walked on, and Amazon has always cleared those individuals of any wrongdoing. So we've never gotten in trouble, and one of the reasons we take the pictures is for exactly that. And then, yes, I have a paper trail that I can go all the way back to the original retail. I'm buying mostly from the source. I'm buying from the major retailers. I have liquidation contracts with some of the major retail chains in the United States. I'm an authorized buyer. So I'm buying these from the people that bought them from the manufacturer. So I can trace it almost all the way to the manufacturer if I have to.
Yep.
So the other type of shoe that I think that I look for and I source are athletic shoes on top of fashion sneakers. And then the other one are high-end, which you just saw a couple of examples of, high-end women's shoes. High-end women's shoes like the Vitas and stuff like that, you would be surprised what people will pay. During the wintertime, you'll see me get a lot of boots. I'll sell boots for $200, $300, $400 a piece. It's crazy. And the same thing with purses. People will pay $400 or $500 for a purse. I won't pay $10 for my wallet.
Well, thank God for those people, right? they keep us in business. Right.
I access purses from these same vendors.
Yeah.
These retail chains, and they're all brand new high-end purses that just for some reason on sales for
Yeah. This is one of the. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to break down the ASICs.
Oh yeah. So that's fine. Go ahead and do that. Let's do that.
Sure. So this is another shoe that we pulled this morning off of one of the manifests that we just built yesterday. Actually, this one is going out to a customer today in Foxconn as we speak. It's ranked a little higher, 36,000, but it's an ASIC, which is a very high-end running shoe for men. Actually, my running shoe of choice. I have been an ASIC since high school, which I need to do more.
The pink model. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to stay away from pink personally. But the pricing on this is great, $60 to $75. So you have a lot of ability to come down on pricing.
So a couple of questions, and then I want to analyze one last deal. Are they packed? Mauricio's asking, are they packed in their original boxes? And do you provide an official invoice in case Amazon asks for them? So I think you already answered that, and the answer is yes. You have full documentation if ever there's a question. And let's see. So are they packed in original boxes? And I think that's the only question right now.
So 90% of the time they are in original boxes. I do have a few where I feel like the box is just not of the quality that I would want a customer to see, and we will polybag those shoes, and that is completely acceptable in the Amazon world. And I've sold hundreds of pairs of polybag shoes, and I've had 2 customers make a comment about a polybag shoe, and one of them was super negative, and the other one was like, "Oh, this is kind of weird, but the shoe looks great." So you don't get a lot of pushback on polybag shoes. I would rather polybag it up, pack it real nice with the commercial SKU on the outside. I would rather do that than send them a busted up ratty box.
Exactly.
And if the box is in really bad condition and you don't feel like the shoe is going to present well in a polybag, like if it's a really high-end leather women's shoe that somebody might not appreciate. With sneakers and fashion shoes, most people I don't really care. They get the box and throw it out. But if you've got, you know, a $200 or $300 shoe, then most likely we'll probably. We think it's going to cause an issue or anything, then we can separate those out. I'll sell it on.
Question from Iyad. I thought ASICS is a restricted brand. So, general question: how do you determine when a particular brand is restricted or not? That kind of stuff.
ASICS has restricted ASINs, and it's typically their newest stuff. So what will happen is ASICS contacts Amazon and says, hey, our new line of products is coming out. We don't want anybody to sell on Amazon. And Amazon will restrict all of those ASINs associated with that. The liquidation stuff are usually 2 or 3 seasons behind, and those restrictions have typically been lifted. We do, as part of the service for the Facebook group that I'm working with right now, we actually upload, we get inventory level access to people's accounts, and we upload the product ourselves and create out the merchant codes. So we know when a product is restricted. So we'll go to upload it and we'll get an error message. And when that happens, which doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, then we will swap that shoe out for another shoe. We'll notify people who bought the new lot. We'll change the manifest to reflect the new shoe going in, and we'll get approval from them to make sure they're still okay with purchasing that lot and shipping it. But restriction kickbacks are extremely rare.
Guys, like I was saying, Scott has taken care of everything. I mean, you know, he's probably a little schizophrenic, man. He's taken care of every single step. So if there's a problem with paperwork, he's got it. He's already on it. If there is a problem with restriction that nobody knew about, he's on it. He'll honor it. I'll honor it. We'll swap it out for another pair of shoes. So again, Scott just dove deep into this. And one of the things that I really, really like about Scott is that he is meticulous. So there is the processes, inspections, pictures, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk all about that in a minute, but I just want to analyze one last deal. I've kind of saved the best for last. The rank on this is like freaking awesome. I mean, this is crazy. This particular shoe, you want to buy like as many as Scott can give you because of the rank. I mean, it's like one of the top shoes on Amazon. So this is the Skechers Sport Women's Delights. So go ahead and click on that, everybody, and take a look at it on Amazon. And let's do a quick breakdown on this one, Scott.
And the nice thing is you've got a really high rank. The rank's 187 shoe.
That's crazy.
You still got a lot of price integrity here. It's not low ranked because somebody is trying to lowball the whole listing by selling them for, like in books, they're selling them for a penny.
Right.
You still got really good price structure, and you've got a really amazing rank. So what that's telling you is that this is a really popular shoe right now. And anytime you can find these in the storefronts, anytime you can source these through whatever methods you have to source these, definitely want to jump on Skechers, because especially this particular brand, Women's Delight, they're obviously selling like crazy. I would say a range of shoes of 187 is probably on the order of about 15 to 20 weeks.
It's pretty insane.
So that is amazing.
Yeah.
The other note is these are we're talking about these major shoe brands. You will not be able, as an Amazon seller, and I've tried, you will not be able to get a wholesale product, which is why I have to do reverse logistics to get these products in liquidation, is because these companies, these Skechers, Vita, they're only talking to and doing major retail chains across the United States and Amazon. But they're only putting these in the storefronts. You're not going to see these. You might see these online with a major online shoe retailer that doesn't have a brick and mortar, but they have to be doing tens of thousands of units of marketing contacts with these kinds of companies. So, and trust me, I've called them. I'm like, hey, what are you selling me? I do high volume, please. And they're like, no, unfortunately, we don't allow people to go. And a lot of their rationale behind it is, if they allow me to sell online, I now have the whole world at my fingertips. I can sell on .net.ca.
Right.
I can't sell on .ca. But I can sell on .jp in Japan. I can sell on .eu in Europe. All the years there's 8 European nations there. So immediately from my office right here, right now, I can start selling on those. And they want to protect the integrity of the product,
Sure.
brand, and the pricing structure. And that pricing structure is really important. But once they stop making the shoe, once it goes out of circulation, they don't usually really care. There's a couple of companies like Converse. It's really hard to get in the United States because Converse has a contract with most of their retail chains that says when you go to liquidate, you have to liquidate internationally. You can't liquidate domestically. So anybody that buys Converse, and you can get some, they definitely leave through, but you can't get them in massive bulk. So when these retail chains go to liquidate certain brands, they have to liquidate internationally.
Great. So, guys, 2 more things, and then we're going to wrap this up. So, number one, let's see here. Number one, let's talk about your process, because again, I think it's so impressive and it's so important for people to know when we start making lots available, what goes on behind the scenes. So, at a high level, can you just kind of walk through that? Talk about your team. Talk about your process a little bit. That'd be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our process is probably an iteration of 5 times of trying to get it right. When we first started this, we obviously, this is kind of brand new to the industry. We're individuals like yourself. We're making paths into areas that nobody is offering product in this way, bundled like this with the service behind it. People coming online and doing it, but we're first to the scene on a lot of this kind of thing. So we didn't know where to begin. We didn't have a model to look at of other people that were doing it. So this has been many months, always trying to make it better. We're always open to suggestions on how to do that. But I feel like we've got a really good process in place. I have a team backing all of those to help support it from a customer service standpoint and from a quality assurance standpoint. So I have about 5 full-time people in the warehouse. We've got about a 1,500 square foot warehouse. It's not big, but we process the items as they come in and we order as they come in. So it's kind of like a just-in-time inventory management setup. So I'll order 15 or 20 pallets, and once we get to the back end of those, then we'll order them. Just keep processing. So we don't need a lot of space, and the number of people that I have seems to be able to keep up with demand right now. Obviously, so what happens is I source the product, it comes in, my team goes through all of the shoes, they separate out good from bad. I have one individual that his whole job is to manage my liquidation stuff, meaning stuff that we don't want to sell on Amazon goes into a separate room. He goes through it and posts on eBay, creates liquidation.com mini lots, we'll sell it, put it up on Craigslist for our flea market vendors. All the product that we deem worthy of going to Amazon, then we start to scan them all. We scan all the UPC codes. We upload all that information to Evaluate, which is a scanpower.com add-on that you can get, which then queries the Amazon database, extracts all the information from that listing, extracts rank, the number of people competing on that listing, the highest and lowest price for virtual fulfilled A sellers, everything that you could possibly think about information-wise that comes off of the listing. is now put into a nice little spreadsheet for us. From there, we pull out the information that we want to put on our manifest, because there's a lot of information on it. It's not relevant to C code, product description. We want the ASIN, and we want the lowest. We want the price of the buy box at that moment in time. We put all that into a spreadsheet. We shoot for a particular profit margin for that. So what we do is we say, okay, if we're going to create a shoe lot to sell for $1,000, we want to make sure that it has this much in current buy box value, so that you're getting X percent profit margin after Amazon takes all of its fees. So you're getting this package of information that already has a profit margin associated with it. Of course, assuming that in an ideal world everything sells at that price, something will go up, something will go down. But we find on average that that's probably where you're going to end up if you're managing your pricing appropriately. And keep in mind that ultimately, once the product gets to you and you start to manage the pricing, you go up in some areas, down in some areas. We obviously reload it in at a certain price in order for the upload to take. But managing the pricing is extremely important to capture the high profit. So once we put that all together, somebody says, I want to buy it, then we send out a letter to them with instructions on how to pay and how to set up your inventory level access for us to be able to upload. Once that happens, and if you're not comfortable with inventory level access, I'll describe the other way to do it. But first, once you give us access to your inventory, then we upload all of the products into your inventory with pricing, and we send it in at $1 above the buy box. We don't want to inadvertently trigger a pricing war between you and somebody else. So it goes in $1 higher than the buy box value. So another reason for the to log in and restructure your pricing. It goes in, and then from there we print out your merchant SKUs and apply them to all the products. Then we create your shipment via an upload, and then print out your FDA labels and put them all in a box after we've prepped them and done everything we do for them, and then we ship them directly to Amazon. There we go. And then if you don't want us to do that for you, then the process is once you buy the manifest itself has all the information on it that you need to either upload or individually put your products into your inventory. Then you would send us a PDF of the merchant SKUs that we would apply. Then we would create the shipment. Once then you would send us the information on the shipment, like 10 are going to you. We would package those into the boxes. We would tell you the dimension, weight of those boxes that would go into those particular areas. We would enter that information into your shipment and then send us the PDF file of the shipping labels. And we would apply those and send them out.
So there's a lot of steps there, and I know it's a pretty heavy effort on your part, but that's why you've got a team of 5 who actually do all of that for you. But let me kind of reiterate, because again, there's a lot of details, but I want to reiterate to everybody watching, guys, what this actually means. So basically what Scott is saying is that he's going to make lots of shoes available. You purchase those shoes, you give access to Scott to your Amazon seller account. You set him up as a user, as a permitted user in your Seller Central account. And then guess what? Then you step back and Scott goes in there, loads your inventory, puts all of the shoes into your Amazon Seller Central account. He creates the labels. He creates the box label. He does everything. I mean, this is, you really need to let that sink in, because there is no other service that I know of that does all this for you. So essentially, you have two steps. One, you look at the lot that Scott is going to make available, and you decide if you want it. You review your numbers, you do your due diligence, and then you bid for it. You say, yes, I want this particular lot, and I'm looking forward to trying to make my 30%, 40% ROI. That's it. Then you step back, and Scott's team takes over the entire process. I mean, that is absolutely phenomenal. And that's why I said early in the call, guys, this is a game changer. This can change your business significantly, because you don't have to hire 5 people like Scott. His team is already there. All you need to do is manage your products once they're in Amazon, and make sure the pricing goes up and down. And there's repricing tools that will automate all that for you as well. And we can do another session and training on that. But again, this is a pretty much of a done for you deal. Everything is done for you. You're purchasing and then selling, and all the steps in between, the labeling, all loading, the list, all that's already done. I mean, that is absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to ask a quick question here on Facebook, okay? And I want you guys to respond. How many of you would be interested in buying Scott's deals? So if we get enough interest, then we're going to offer this limited service. And Scott doesn't go out and solicit the service to anybody. We've been talking about it for a while. So this is not open like to the general public where anybody can come up to Scott. Scott works with a very limited number of people. I know the other guy. He's a good friend of mine. And this is kind of a inner circle thing that we're opening up just to certain circles, and we're very fortunate that Scott is willing to do that for us. Okay, so if we see enough demand, then we're going to roll this out, and we're not going to offer 10 deals tomorrow. It's going to be slow because we want to get it right. Maybe we'll start with 1 deal next week, or maybe 2 deals next week. Again, depends on demand. If we see a lot of demand, then we can start offering those deals, more and more. Okay, having said that, I want to talk about just next steps, any other remaining questions, and then I think we can wrap it up. So I'm seeing yes, count me in, yes, sounds great. Great for a total newbie like me, so yes too. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of yeses, which is phenomenal. Guys, make sure you are ungated for shoes. Yep, that's a good point. So again, we're not in a rush to do this. Scott's making great money. I'm making great money. We're really doing this for one primary reason. And Scott said this way in the beginning of the call, and it really struck a chord with me, which is, look, Scott's already broke $1 million. Okay. I'm at $1 million with my businesses. So why are we doing this? I mean, why bother? We could just continue to take these deals for ourselves. When I showed you that example from Scott of that shoe that's like less than 1,000 in rank, why would I offer this to somebody else, or why would Scott offer this to anybody else and not just keep it for himself? But the power is in the network. The power is building a phenomenal community and a team. And Scott will tell you there's so much more power in a exponential team than there is in an individual, right? So what that we've made $1 million? We can only do so much with that, right? There's only so much toys we can buy, but it's really about helping others. I mean, that's the passion, that's the drive, and people who are successful like Scott, that's what they look for, which is, what is your burning desire? It's giving back and giving others the opportunity. The fact that, whenever I see, and I'm sure Scott, you as well, whenever, we see somebody saying, hey, I just did my first sale. I mean, that is such a feeling that, man, you just help somebody to break some of the chains of corporate life, or, whatever you're stuck at. And that's really the driving factor. And now to be able to have people like Scott in my circle of friends where I can say, hey, Scott, let's do this deal and make 20 grand on it, right? I couldn't do that if I was just by myself trying to keep it all for myself, right? So there's a lot of give and take there. So that's what I'm hoping that, this community that we're building with the Wholesale River, I think we have over our sellers right now. We have over 300 in less than a month. I mean, 300 members joined this group in less than. That is absolutely amazing. And I don't take all the credit for that. I share that because of people like Chirag and Scott, who recognize that this community is phenomenal and there's so much potential and we could be a powerhouse. So just imagine for a second that Scott goes to a distributor and says, hey, I want a lot of 10,000 shoes. Okay. That's one deal. But if Scott is able to say to the distributor, hey, I've got 20 people from Wholesale River and we want 500,000 pairs of shoes. I mean, that, the power in that is just exponential. And that's really the reason why we're doing this. And I'm confident that this particular webinar, at this point in your life, you can see that big picture. And Scott is here to help. I'm here to help. And we want to get you from zero, where you might be at zero with your shoes right now, to 50,000 in 6 months. Not going to happen tomorrow, but in 6 months. Okay. So I see a lot more yeses coming in saying everybody wants to get in on this deal. So guys, that's amazing. That's what I wanted to do today, is to validate this and make sure that, the time and commitment that Scott's going to be putting in, he's a busy guy. He's running a company with 5 people, that this is going to be worth his time as well. All right. And I know he's a really giving guy. He would do this if there was only one person saying yes. But the fact that we have, many, many people saying yes now, that's absolutely amazing. That gives us the motivation to say, okay, let's actualize this. Let's make this happen. Let's start bringing some deals. So next steps, Scott and Chirag and I are going to be meeting. We've been meeting for the last several weeks. We're going to continue to meet, maybe over the weekend as well. And we're going to start putting the logistics around this. And we're going to start slow, and we're going to offer a few lots. And I know they're going to disappear. Our deals always are gone within seconds. Be patient, okay? There will be enough deals for everybody. I promise you, okay? But in the beginning, we're just going to offer a few just to get us going. And also, we want to make sure that the whole process end to end is handled properly and swiftly and correctly, and all the systems and everything takes place correctly, okay? So having said that, I think that's all I've got. Scott, any parting thoughts, any stories you can remember? What's the most expensive shoe that you've ever sold?
I want to say I probably sold a $220 shoe.
Wow.
MSRP it was like $500 or $600.
Ladies shoe or guys shoe? Ladies? Yeah, guys' shoes that you sell go for like what, $20? Yeah.
But I just want to kind of reiterate a little bit of what you said. That the power of numbers is amazing. Yes, I do this to give back, but at the same time, I get from it as well.
Absolutely.
Some of the people that I've coached in the last 6 months are now doing better than people who have leads that I would have come in contact with. The other thing is not only do we have purchasing power to get different discounts, but I have my vendors, some really, really big vendors across the country, where I get the emails first.
Right.
I'll get deals days before they'll release it to anybody else. My sales rep will call me up and say, "Hey Scott, I've got this in there. Nobody knows about it." And the reason they do that is because they know that I could potentially say, "I'll take all." And so it gives us access not only to better pricing structure, but higher quality product. So it's a win-win all the way around.
Absolutely. Good stuff. There you go. All right. Hey, Scott, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy guy. And everybody, thank you so much for spending an hour and 13 minutes with us. This was recorded. I'm going to make this available. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Remember to take some time off. That's so important, and time with family. Scott, we're actually talking about this before the call started, but how important it is that we do all this for family. and Scott's got pictures of his family plastered all over his Facebook profile. And I think that's so cool, right? The driving factor. So let's make people successful. That's what we're here for. So enjoy the weekend, and I will be posting this up shortly as a replay. And guys, let's make some money and let's be unstoppable. Thanks again, Scott. Have a good one.
My pleasure. Thanks for everybody coming.
Absolutely. Take care. Yep, it was our pleasure. Take care.